Call the meeting to order. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson? Yes. Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. The next item is a moment of silence to be led by the board vice president.
As we begin this meeting, let us pause for a 60-second moment of silence to reflect, meditate, pray, or engage in any other silent activity. Thank you.
Next item is the Pledge of Allegiance to be led by Caleb Mosinski, a fifth grade student at Linwood Elementary.
Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So Caleb, tell us about yourself. Tell us what grade are you in?
I'm in 5th grade.
5th grade. Who's your teacher?
Mr. Wood.
Tell us what have you learned this year? What have you done? Tell us about your class and all the things and activities that you've done this year.
Well, in 5th grade, I was glad they introduced STEM because that was a fun little thing that they started. And I'm glad that I got Mr. Wood because he's a fun teacher and he lets us do activities and stuff like that.
Tell us about what last activity did you do in STEM? That was kind of fun.
Our last activity that we did, we had to try to take a bunch of paint stirrers, and we had to try to make a kind of like bridge that hangs off the side of the table without any like poles to hold it up to see how long we could get it.
So how'd that work out for you?
Not very good because my table we kept on trying and trying, but we used too many sticks for the end and we didn't get enough time.
So did you have to kind of calculate how to make changes to it to make it hold? Okay. So what else do you like to do? Play soccer or?
Yeah, soccer.
What else?
I like to go over to my friend Connor's house. I go over there every Friday.
All right. Man, I wish I grew up in your household. I never got to go anywhere. Well, we're going to take a picture with you. Can we do that?
Mm-hmm.
All right. You're kind of a rock star today. We're going to go right here in the front, okay? Good job.
Next item on the agenda is the formal adoption of the agenda. Not received any feedback on this, so we should be ready to move forward.
Recommend approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to formally adopt the agenda. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. Next item under minutes are the January 12th, 2015 regular meeting minutes. I'm open to any questions or suggestions that you might have relative to these minutes.
Recommend approval?
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the January 12th, 2015 regular meeting minutes. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. The next item, under the comments from the public, seeing that we do not have any, we'll move to the next item on the agenda, which are the reports to the board. At this time, we have the presentation of the Broken Arrow Education Association report. Ms. Westman, is she here today? Okay, we'll move on to the next item, which is the general consent items, items 8 through 21. And just so that each of us know, there's not been anything that's been brought to our attention on this either.
Recommend approval.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to approve the general consent agenda items 8 through 21. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. The next item on the agenda under Superintendent Board of Education Communications, Dr. Mendenhall.
Yes, Madam President, members of the board, I wanted to just kind of give you an update. Tonight's one of those evenings that it'll be a tough night for me to sleep. We're going to the polls to vote tomorrow on a $370 million bond issue. Wanted to kind of report kind of some different things to you because I think this might help. It's not helping me rest, but it may help you rest better. I will say that I want to first compliment our staff. Our staff has done an incredible job of really not only putting this, helping with the facilitation and this package, but also the conversations that we've had in the community. I think I counted last night, I'm close to 50 different meetings that I've attended and actually spoken specifically about the bond issue. I know that if I've done that, I guarantee you that there's quite a few in this room that have done quite a few as well. You know, the bond package is one of those things that is so important to our district, and I know that many of you understand and know this, but I will say that we have really felt good about our due diligence and the things that we've gone through to get to this point. You know, sometimes you look back at a situation and you think, okay, did we do everything, correctly? I can probably tell you there's a few things that we might change, but for the most part, I feel very good about the stakeholder involvement that we did, the people that we brought in to actually get feedback from, and really the overall perspective on this has been really positive. Kind of the outlook, kind of give you an idea, we have really had a lot of positive feedback. There's been very few, if any, negative feedback that we've received. So I think our biggest challenge right now is making sure that everybody gets to the polls tomorrow and votes. I know that we have a couple of neighboring school districts that will also have a bond issue or a bond election as well, and we look forward to seeing the results tomorrow night. If we are successful, then the real work actually begins then. And kind of to give you an idea of our thought process from there is that we will begin immediately vetting architects. That will be our first step to make sure that we're utilizing any architects that we haven't utilized in the past. We would give them a chance to actually go through an interview process. And then from there, kind of work through, when the selling of the bonds. I just want to make sure that you recall we will not sell bonds until 2016. So we still have quite a few months before we would actually sell our first set of bonds and we would start our first set of projects. So I'll answer any questions you might have, but I felt like tonight, especially since it's kind of on the eve of the bond election, that I would at least bring to you a report and give you kind of an update on the work and the information that's been done at this point. So any questions I can answer for anyone.
Dr. Mendenhall, I would like to certainly echo what you had said earlier about staff members going above and beyond and doing the work necessary to put this bond initiative together. Certainly, we couldn't do this without the gracious community members that we have that go to the polls and support public education here in our community. I, along with the others here this evening, certainly want to encourage all of us to get out and vote tomorrow, because we're looking forward to beginning a new process over the next several years, putting together some fascinating projects, and certainly all of those are going to benefit the students that we serve. So thank you to each of you, and thank you in advance for going out and voting.
Okay, thank you very much.
The next item on the agenda under operational services is Mr. Brian Daly.
Good evening, President Kelly, members of the board, Dr. Mendenhall. The first item I'm bringing you tonight is a motion to approve the purchase of 885 Canvas Learning Management System subscriptions and implementation in the amount of $7,818 from the sole source vendor Canvas. This will be the learning management system that goes along with the 175 Chromebooks that were purchased at the previous board meeting as part of our Want to Stay pilot at the Freshman Academy.
Do you have any questions? I would entertain a motion.
I recommend approval.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the purchase and implementation of 885 Canvas Cloud subscriptions. The first year subscription is prorated from February 15th, 2015 through June 30th, 2015, and is $3,318. The first year also includes an implementation fee of $4,500. The total amount to be paid by the district is $7,818 and will be paid from the bond funds. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Denton,
Yes.
Mr. Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Ms. Kelly.
Yes. Next item.
The next item is a motion to approve or disapprove a tuition rate increase for B&A Connections for the 2015-16 school year. This increase would still allow us to be the lowest tuition rate in the community. We have not had an increase or a rate adjustment since B&A Connections inception, so this would be a first time. And this rate increase would cover the added expenses that B&A has incurred from staffing, supplies, etc. And with the increase, again, we would still remain the lowest amongst our competitors, to include neighboring school districts.
Okay. Questions or comments?
Recommend approval.
Second. We have a motion and second to approve B&A Connections tuition rate increase of 9% for the 2015-16 school year. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Denton,
Yes.
Mr. Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Ms. Kelly.
Yes.
Thank you.
Next item, Mr. Grant Moore.
Good evening, President Kelly, members of the board, Dr. Mendenhall. I'm here to seek your approval of agreement with Brian Whitlow for the marking of the soccer fields at the high school, both on Tiger Field and the practice field, in the amount of $4,120, and that's for the entire soccer season.
Could you tell me, is this something that, since we've put the new fields on, they're not prepared for the soccer, and so that's why they are going to be painting them, correct?
We're going to paint them with a UV paint
Okay.
that will fade away, and so the agreement's for him to return and regularly paint it during the soccer
Okay.
soccer season.
Any other questions?
Recommend approval. Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the statement of work between Broken Arrow Public Schools and Brian Whitlow providing contract paint to the district. The total amount to be paid by the district is $4,120 and will be paid by the building funds. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Denton,
Yes.
Mr. Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Ms. Kelly.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item under instructional services, Ms. Debbie Renz.
Good evening, President Kelly, Dr. Mendenhall, members of the board. Tonight I bring to you a proposal for our DECA chapter to compete in a national competition April 24th through the 29th in Orlando, Florida. We're doing this proposal today with an estimation of, we don't know if the kids have qualified yet, but we have to get this approved so that as soon as they qualify, we can get them registered and get them ready to get on the plane to go on this trip. And they are competing tomorrow and Wednesday, I guess, to determine. So we'll know by the end of this week who's eligible to go.
Okay. Any other questions?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the proposed trip and competition at the DECA International Career Conference in Orlando, Florida, April 24th through 29th, 2015, at a cost of approximately $357 per student. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item, Mr. Mark Officer.
Good evening, President Kelly, Dr. Mendenhall, members of the board. This item is for the purchase of 125 total Chromebooks, 25 per middle school site, along with licenses to be used in their reading and math enrichment classes.
Okay. Any questions?
Recommend approval.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the purchase of 125 Oztech computers for the 5 middle schools from T-Trees Technologies. Each computer is priced at $232 with a total cost of $29,000. Google Chrome licenses will add an additional $3,250. The total cost to the district with the shipping cost will be $32,750. The funding is through the ACE Technology Expenditure Funds. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item, Ms. Carla Dias.
Good evening, Dr. Mendenhall, President Kelly, members of the board. Tonight, we bring to you just information only about the Instructional Time Task Force Committee that's been meeting throughout this school year. If you recall, it's a committee made up of teachers, parents, building principals, administrators, and basically we've had several tasks in front of us. One is we looked at the school year and made a proposal, which you guys approved in December. We talked about the pros and cons of changing the start time of school, and we had Ms. Frisbee come and talk to you at the December board meeting. And at this time, we were talking about embedded collaboration for all grade levels at all of our sites to focus on student data and student performance. As the committee has worked together, we've just identified that this is a major need and would benefit our students. But we wanted you to hear it from a teacher's point of view, so we invited one of our master teachers, Ms. Bridget Powell, who's at Highland Park, second grade teacher, and she's going to share some information with you this evening. Okay.
Dr. Mendenhall, Mrs. Kelly, and members of the Board of Education, I come before you this evening to share the importance of embedded collaboration in our district. Let me begin by answering the question, what is embedded collaboration? Which one? Embedded collaboration is the practice of scheduling time for collaboration into the school day and school calendar. Embedded collaboration is explained by Richard and Rebecca DeFore as a systematic process in which we work together interdependently to analyze and impact professional practice in order to improve our individual and collective results. Embedded collaboration happens outside the common planning time to enhance an intense interactive environment for a longer period of time where teachers can share data and diverse strategies in teaching and intervention in order to reach all students. The benefits to student learning are invaluable. With embedded collaboration, teacher teams are able to spend more time discussing student needs, therefore creating an atmosphere of shared responsibility. When teachers collaborate, they are able to vertically align their curriculum, make modifications to common assessments, decode data, and decide how to respond to students who are not learning, and plan for enrichment and extensions for those students who are ready to move forward. This intense planning affects the students immediately, as the teachers have a plan in place and the support from one another to help students achieve success. Not only are the benefits effective to students, but also to parents and teacher-parent communication. Through embedded collaboration, teachers are able to disaggregate data and make a plan of action. When conferencing with parents, teachers are able to give better insight into the specific needs of their child. The information shared with parents is not just a teacher's opinion, but is backed up with data and a plan for intervention. Research shows the effectiveness of embedded collaboration. In an article titled, "A Review of Research on the Impact of Professional Learning Communities on Teaching Practice and Student Learning," it is stated that research shows that collaboration demonstrates a shift in the teaching culture. The research also shows that the collaborative relationships open up teacher teams to an environment of sharing, reflecting, and risk-taking where change is needed. According to the student focus research in this same article, there was a direct link between functioning collaborative teacher teams and increased student achievement. 3 of our surrounding school districts currently have embedded collaboration built into their school day and district calendar. Jinx participates in a monthly collaboration from 8:20 to 10:20 a.m. The students arrive to school 2 hours late on the predetermined collaboration day. The normal bell rings at 8:40, but rings at 10:40 on collaboration days. The first hour of the morning is spent in a short professional development session with the entire staff. The second hour is spent in grade level collaboration. Bixby Public Schools participates in PLCs every week using an early release at 2:45 p.m. on Friday. Throughout the district, grade level teams are meeting in professional learning communities, discussing data-driven information and planning according to students' needs, both through intervention and enrichment. In addition, Bixby teachers meet twice a year in PLCs with other teachers from their grade level in the district. This gives them the opportunity to mentor one another and share a diversity of ideas and teaching strategies to reach all students. Union Public Schools uses what they call Late Start Friday for their embedded collaboration. Each school site varies on start time, but all schools in the district meet for collaboration every Friday. For instance, the high school teachers meet at 7:45 on Friday mornings and work in collaborative teams for 50 to 55 minutes. The elementary school collaboration time is from 7:20 to 8:05. The normal bell rings at 7:50, but on Late Start Friday, it rings at 8:15 a.m. Many ask, isn't this collaboration time what you should be doing during your common plan time? Many obstacles are in play during the common plan time each day. This time is often used for staffing and IEP meetings, phone calls and emails to parents, and preparation for the following day's lessons and activities. In addition, the common planning timeframe does not lend itself to diving deep into data and discussion. Common plan times are usually 40 minutes. By the time teachers deliver their students to their specials class, take care of parent and school emails, and gather the information needed for collaboration, they are left with maybe a 25-minute time period. This is not enough time for teachers to make productive decisions regarding student data. Being able to continue to use the common plan time for grade level meetings and tending to parent and site business is important, thus protecting the embedded collaboration time for data-driven discussions and focusing on the 4 essential questions of a PLC. In closing, I believe it is important to share the relation embedded collaboration provides to our PLC foundation already established. Our PLC work is focused on the 4 essential questions. Number 1, what is it that we want students to learn? Number 2, How will we know if each student has learned it? Number 3, how will we respond when some students do not learn it? And number 4, how can we extend and enrich the learning for students who have demonstrated proficiency? As we continue to work in our collaborative teams week after week during our common plan time, we find ourselves gaining momentum and witnessing results in our classroom data. What amazing strides could we make when given the opportunity to participate in embedded collaboration for the sole purpose of committing ourselves to higher levels of learning for all students? We have an incredible PLC foundation that has the opportunity to go to the next level through embedded collaboration. As Dufour, Week, and Eaker state in their book, Learning by Doing, the purpose of collaboration, to help more students achieve at higher levels, can only be accomplished if the professionals engaged in collaboration are focused on the right work. With embedded collaboration, we will have ample time to focus on what matters, our students and their success. Thank you for your time.
Did you have any questions?
Well, I do know that embedded collaboration is definitely critical to our staff members, because with the current structure, the way that we have it right now, with all it is, of course, obviously those of us that are professionals out there working in our classrooms every day understand the time commitments and the time constraints that we have. It is essential to provide common time where they can embed or have embedded collaboration. So I fully understand that and appreciate very much the information that you've provided to the board this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. I have our next board item too. If you want me to
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. The next item is for your consideration to vote on. Is the agreement between Broken Arrow and Amazon Digital Services to provide 40 Kindle Fire HD6 tablets to Rhodes Elementary. The total cost to the district is $3,643.20 and will be paid from site instructional bond funds. The staff at Rhodes Elementary plans on using these with all the grade levels, with special emphasis on the lower grades.
Okay. Questions? I would entertain a motion.
Recommend approval.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the agreement between Broken Arrow Public Schools and Amazon Digital Services, Inc. to provide 40 Kindle Fire HD6 tablets to Rhodes Elementary. The total cost to the district is $3,643.20 and will be paid from the site instructional bond funds. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. The next item under Student Services, Mr. Ken Ellett.
President Kelly, Dr. Mendenhall, board members, good evening. I have a contract here tonight for the Broken Arrow Girls Varsity Soccer Team to attend a tournament at Bishop Kelly High School, the Heart of America's Girls Soccer Tournament. And it'll be a Thursday, Friday, Saturday tournament. They will not miss any school on Thursday. They'll play that night, but they will miss school on Friday. Play 3 games that day, and I asked you to approve for that, go to that tournament.
Any questions?
Recommend approval.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the agreement between Broken Arrow Public Schools and Bishop Kelly High School for the Heart of America Classic Girls Soccer Tournament to be held April 9th through 11th, 2015. The total cost to the district, I don't have that amount. Do you?
There's an entry fee of $350 and transportation.
Okay, thank you. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you. Next item, Mr. Rusty Stecker.
Good evening, everyone. This item is for an agreement with Broken Arrow Public Schools and Mears Transportation, providing shuttle services for the Tigats while attending the National Dance Competition, Orlando, Florida. The total cost of the district is $712, and this will be paid through the Tigat Activities Account 945.
Any questions?
Recommend approval.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the agreement between Broken Arrow Public Schools and Mears Transportation providing the shuttle services for the Tigets while they are in Orlando, Florida. The total cost of the district is $712, and it will be paid through the activity account. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. Next item, Mr. Derek Blackburn.
Good evening. I bring two different items for you. First of all, the discussion, motion, and vote on the child nutrition grant of $4,500. It was provided to us by General Mills. To let you know a little bit about this grant, originally this was a grant that was provided to the school based on a program where we're going to start at the beginning of the school year. When we decided to back off and not do that project, and we disclosed this to General Mills, they decided that they still wanted to give the money to the school district in the way that child nutrition would need. So we discussed it, and we wanted to earmark the money for a breakfast program so that we can encourage our students and basically improve that program.
Thank you for that information. Any other questions?
Recommend approval.
Second.
You have a motion and second to approve the child nutrition grant of $4,500 from General Mills to be used by the child nutrition as needed. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. Next item.
Yes, the next item is discussion, motion, and vote on to approve or disapprove donations from Hercules Tire Sales Incorporated and Commercial Risk Group Incorporated. Each company is donating $2,500 to go towards our Beyond and Above award for staff recognition. I'd also like to point out that these individuals came to us really unsolicited and very appreciative, because at one point in time I was thinking I was going to be mowing people's yards. So Steve Allen and the Sicca family, I definitely want to reach out and tell you how much we appreciate this, and hopefully the board sees fit.
Any questions?
Recommend approval. Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the donations from Hercules Tire Sales, Inc. and Commercial Risk Group, Inc. Each company donated $2,500 to provide an award and monetary prizes for the recipient of the Beyond and Above Award and the runners-up. This is a new support staff recognition program. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, Dr. Richard Dale.
Ms. Kelly, members of the board, Dr. Mendenhall, the first item I have for you is a motion to approve or disapprove the Broken Arrow High School Indoor Percussion Ensemble to travel and participate in the Winter Guard International Mid-South Regional Winter Percussion Competition in Bowling Green, Kentucky, March 20th through the 23rd.
Any questions?
Recommend approval.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the Broken Arrow High School Indoor Percussion Ensemble to travel to and participate in the Winter Guard International Mid-South Regional Winter Percussion Competition in Bowling Green, Kentucky, March 20th through 23rd, 2015. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. Next item.
Second item we have is a motion to approve or disapprove a new agreement between Broken Arrow Public Schools and Grosh Backdrops and Draperies for the rental of a backdrop for the production of the musical Oliver at a total cost to the district of $546.68 from Fund 11, Project 157.
Any questions?
Recommend approval. Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the new agreement between Broken Arrow Public Schools and Grosh Backdrops and Drapery for the rental of a drama backdrop for the production of the musical Oliver. The total cost to the district is $546.68. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item, Mr. Jason Jadamski.
President Kelly, members of our school board, and Dr. Mendenhall. Tonight I bring before you a proposed agreement between Broken Arrow Public Schools and Your Next Speaker, LLC, for leadership retreat facilitation. This agreement would provide a facilitator for the Broken Arrow High School Student Leadership Retreat in October 2015. The cost of the district is $3,500 from activity account.
Any questions or comments?
Recommend approval.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the agreement between Broken Arrow Public Schools and Your Next Speaker, LLC, for a leadership retreat facilitation. The total cost of the district is $3,500, and it will be paid through the activities budget. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Next item under Business Services, Ms. Natalie Ena.
Good evening. These are the monthly financials through the end of January 2015. January is obviously a very big month for us as we receive the majority of our ad valorem tax collections. As you can see, we're up in general fund about $900,000 from where we were last year. Also, on February 2nd, we received our final state aid midterm adjustment allocation, resulting in a $46.9 million allocation. There's a reduction in the factors of our weighted ADM of about $6.60. This would have resulted in about $184,000 loss to the district, but $120,000 if that was made up because as we were part of Wagner County, they assess at 12%. Therefore, that lowered our chargeable, and we were able to recoup some of those dollars. Our state sources are up a little bit from where we were last year, which is a good sign. So far, we haven't been negatively affected from the fluctuating oil prices in our gross production collections. And our federal collections are down a little bit, but also remember we are collecting in our Fund 12 cooperative grant, which is technically a federal collection, but that is not reflected in general fund. That is in that separate cooperative fund that was established last year. In building fund, again, we're in the same position with our ad valorem tax collections. They're up about $130,000 from where we were last year. Everything else is pretty much holding steady. Our local collections are up a little bit due to some local donations that we've received, as well as receiving the PSO rebates for our lighting upgrades in buildings.
Ms. Ena, before you move on, I think it would be, and I know you just explained the building fund, or the general fund, but it might be good for Mr. Thompson to just kind of explain that there was a lot of conversation in the newspaper about the ad valorem and the taxes. Would you kind of help us a little bit? I know that we're part of Wagner County and we're also part of Tulsa County. You explained that. But can you give us kind of what we were expecting and what we actually received? Yeah, why don't you? That might be better. Because I do think that the board would probably want to know kind of what those exacts are, numbers are.
Okay, well, and Natalie tried to cover some of that, but as we were going through, we were about 200,000 short of what we estimated when the original midterm adjustment came out. And so what we were waiting on was what would the final impact be, because the state withheld $20 million out of the midterm adjustment to address the issue. When they finally got completed with all the calculations and all the variables that went into that, they only needed a little over 16 million, so that's what was divided out. So as Natalie mentioned, the overall factor for the students went down $6 and some odd cents. But part of ours, if we were all in Tulsa County, we would have lost the $6, much like Tulsa and Jenks and so forth, that may all be in one county. They would have lost that total amount, so that would have been the $180,000. But what we're able to recoup is because Wagner County is not at 11%, it's at 12%. So part of our chargeable went down from what had originally been of the 12% down to 11%, so we were able to recoup some of that. So while we didn't get any more per pupil than anyone else, we were able to recoup part of our chargeable. So we're basically, all that factored together, about 60,000 short of what we had estimated. Understanding that if it's the ifs and buts question, had the full amount of been $6.60 more, then obviously that had been another 180 on top of. But just because we always utilize what the factors are at the time, known factors, and then they adjust for midterm. So it's kind of a moving target, but that's, there's some that say, well, we would have gotten more had we not had that, and that would be correct, because this was a good year on the state side. It was a good year from the number of students. They held out 1.5%, and we did not reach that as an overall growth for the state. And so they had money available. So the impact, all those variables, and I think the values district-wide or statewide went up more than they estimated. So all those things helped to the overall impact going down from the 20 million that it originally was starting at. So those are the things that went into it. So, if one hadn't happened, there would be a different number and so forth. But overall, the impact could have been worse. I mean, 200,000 is in the scope of $110–15 million is not astronomical, but it is for teachers to us. So, our goal was to have that as small as possible. And by Wagner County having the higher assess, that made it, better situation in the end. So hopefully I answered the question or explained it. But
exactly.
It's just a, almost like a moving target sort of thing.
I'm assuming that everyone would want to know that. So, okay.
Child nutrition, we're up in pretty much all three categories of revenue collections. We have more kids at our campuses participating, and therefore resulting in higher number of claims that we're able to recoup. General fund expenditures, again, salaries and benefits are obviously the largest category in this fund. But beyond that, looking at the other expenditure area in the 900s, I'd just like to point out that we are seeing more expended in that area due to transferring funds to our workers' comp fund this year. Last year we established a separate fund per the State Department's direction for our workers' comp claims and expenses, and so we now transfer the appropriate dollar amount out of general fund to cover those expenses in our workers' comp fund, as we are self-insured. Building fund, we are paying a little bit more in the utilities area due to more square footage and added sites. We're also, as you know, dwindling down our 2009 bond fund sale. Pretty much from here on out, we're relying on our annual allocations that are given to technology and athletics and fine arts instruction. So we're really relying a little more heavily on utilizing building funds for those unexpected costs. Child nutrition, you'll see in the 400 area the expense for the construction at the high school for the finish out of the cafeteria and the student union that was charged to child nutrition. You'll also see their share of their workers' comp expense in the 900 series. Child nutrition pays for their portion of their employees' expense, so that's divided out appropriately between general and child nutrition fund. And you can see in this chart our large spike in revenue from our ad valorem collections, and we'll receive our probably final big payment in March or early April to finish out that revenue category. And we're still tracking along to end our ending fund balance at 14%.
I was looking at the expenditure side of the reports, and certainly I appreciate very much all of the information that's within that. But as I looked at it, you know, we usually close off expenditures April 1, and then we begin really evaluating and looking at what our in-year fund balance will be. Based on looking at that report, are we somewhat even or under our expenses? It looks like that our employees are really doing a good job of managing their budgets, and there is a potential, or is there a potential that it may be more on the end year fund balance than 14% right now? I mean, I know that's a guess, but.
Right now, it's looking very promising at ending at 14%. That's always our goal and the board's goal as well. And I would echo the sentiment that our employees and department managers, principals do an excellent job of managing their budgets and being conservative, and truly only buying what is in the best interest of their students, sites, and departments. So I'd say that right now we feel very good about 14%, and if we come up higher, then that will be the board's discretion on what to do with those funds.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Any other questions?
Nope.
Thank you.
My next item is to ask the board for a budget increase in building fund of $221,926. As I mentioned earlier in my presentation, building fund has gotten a couple local donations from PTAs that have been absorbed into the building fund, and so I need to adjust the budget accordingly to account for those donations. The other aspect is when we budget for building fund at the beginning of the year, we budget very, very conservatively because it's a very small fund as far as revenue collections. And looking at our utility projections through the end of the year, we're not comfortable with how much we have encumbered for some of our utilities, so we'd like to go ahead and make sure we have enough to get us through June 30th.
Any questions on this?
Recommend approval.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the request to increase the building fund operating budget by $221,926 for the receipt of PTA donations and an increase in utility costs. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. Next time.
My next item is to ask the board to approve an increase in general fund by $307,650 for the receipt of the National Board Certified Teachers bonuses. We received our award notification a few weeks ago, and our HR department has diligently gone through and verified each one of those payments, and we would like to ask the board to authorize payment of these bonuses on February 13th.
Any questions on this?
Recommend approval.
Second. We have a motion and second to approve the request to increase the general fund operating budget by $307,650 for payment of the National Board Certified Bonus, and have authorization to pay that February 13th, 2015. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda, Ms. Donna Dollahan.
Good evening. I'm here to give you the Treasurer's Report as of the end of January. The cash balances report shows a total of $64,352,000 in assets, including in this figure are investments that total $45,790,000 for the district. Our fund security and deposit report shows a total of $80,402,000 in collateral pledged to the district. Our deposits that require collateral total $58,504,000. Excuse me, leaving an available balance of collateral to the district of $21,898,000.
This is information only. Are there any questions?
Nope.
Thank you.
My next item is the activity fund reports as of the end of January. Receipts total for the year so far are $3,967,000. Disbursements total $3,322,000, with an ending cash balance in the activity funds of $2,652,000.
Ms. Dolahan, you probably have explained this before, but I apologize if you have, but under this report, there is an adjustment lane. Could you kind of just explain that?
The adjustments are usually voided checks from the previous years that are brought forward. They're very small amounts.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Thank you.
My next item is at the November 10th meeting, the board gave approval to establish the Junior Achievement Sub-Account in the Margaret Hudson Activity Fund. After further clarification with the Junior Achievement Program, it was discovered that this sub-account was not needed for the Junior Achievement Program to operate. However, the sub-account has taken in $114, which needs to be transferred to the Junior Achievement Program itself. And we are requesting approval of this transfer and any future deposits that may go into the sub-account in error.
Any questions or any comments?
Recommend approval.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the transfer of $114 from the Margaret Hudson Activity Fund Junior Achievement Sub-Account to Junior Achievement Program. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
The next item is Kathy Medavalis.
Good evening. My first item tonight are the encumbrance orders, and I would request your approval of these encumbrance orders totaling $929,065.66.
Are there any questions?
Recommend approval.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the encumbrance reports for all funds for the 2014-15 fiscal year. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. Next item.
My next item are the change orders, and I would request your approval of these change orders totaling a decrease of $597,804.12.
Any questions?
Recommend approval. Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the change order reports for the general fund, cooperative fund, building fund, workers' compensation, bond funds, gift funds, and child nutrition fund for the 2014-15 fiscal year. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, Mr. Dwayne Thompson.
Okay, the item is to set a sale date, time and place to sell $29 million of the next series of bonds. There's two things we have, I believe we have designated for the board to consider the March 13th at noon. Again, we do that at a time where the market is open, so you can get the most aggressive rate at that particular moment. And so that's one of the things. And on the $29 million, what we wanted to make sure to understand is our projections are for a 3% increase in value, which we've exceeded that every year, and we're anticipating 2% in interest. The last sale in the state, Putnam City sold a similar amount recently, and they were at 1.84%. So we think we're fairly conservative on both those. Our current tax rate is 29.5, and what we're estimating with this is 29.15. So even if there's a little fluctuation, we still should be right where we are today on our estimate of tax rate. So,
Okay.
and answer any questions that you have.
Are there any questions? Yes, I think that we had talked
We
about
need to
March 13th at noon.
Make a motion to set a date to sell bonds at March 13th at noon.
Second.
We have a motion and second to set the date for March 13th, 2015 at noon to sell the bonds. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is new business. Seeing that we do not have any, we'll move to the next item, which is to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion and second to adjourn. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. We are adjourned.
You know, but